What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and continuing on with our Voidtober month in celebration of Halloween, I am bringing to you another spoiler-free review from a Shudder original called The Puppetman.
It's party time, yeah! These evil people have just got to be stopped.
It's Voidtober! So I didn't really know too much about this. I watched the trailer and kind of just roughly watched it, and I thought that this movie was going to have like all this like crazy like twists and stuff in it, but it kind of reveals its hand a little bit early. It's an interesting story, but there's some things about it that I think are really concerning that didn't work, and things that I kind of liked in the film. But let's get into it. So what is The Puppetman all about? Well, it's essentially about this girl whose father basically went and killed her mother. He didn't even actually do it, supposedly, and he's held on to this belief for a long time that he was forced to do it by sort of a puppeting fashion. Somebody was puppeting him to kill his wife, and the daughter was actually in the closet the entire time when this event happened. And years later, she of course starts having similar situations when some of her friends start dying, and she soon realizes that maybe her father, who's hung on to this entire story that's been crazy and no one believed, might just be true, but not before all of her friends are dying in horrific ways. Is the Puppetman real, or is it something else? So yeah, I watched this, and I gotta say, I had a very tough time watching this movie. It is very frustrating. There's a lot of friendships going on in the beginning of the movie that seem okay at a glance, but then when you get into sort of the mechanics of how people talk to each other and sort of the way that they are with one another, you can see that the actors really tried to make that a kind of an authentic thing, but it just didn't work. Like, the characters feel two-dimensional. And there's a lot going on with each character, and some of the reactions and the things that their friends do. It doesn't seem like it's as close a bond to one another for these people to even give a fuck about the situation with this girl. Like, nobody feels that close-knit in this movie, and it shows. There's a lot of that going on, and, we get, like, a very good open start to the whole movie. It kicks right off just right away, but then it slows down to a crawl. We get introduced to some of the friends and some of the dynamics, and it's like this girl is having these many issues because of her father and her past, and she doesn't want to share it with her new friends, and she shares this like place with her roommate when they're in college, and it's just doesn't feel like a real relationship would be in that regard. But besides that, when you get into it, I really just didn't like any of the characters in this. At no point did I feel like, oh no, not this person. Oh no, she's gonna die. And sometimes that's okay. Like, I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre and was gleefully happy about people dying, but they still were able to make me feel a little concerned about each of the characters in some way. They developed them in a way that made it a fast kind of interest, and you kind of root for them in some small, minute way. With these characters, I really just couldn't get behind them. And then this movie sort of tries to do this twist. We have one big event that happens after about the 30-minute mark or so, and that's when she clues into, maybe my dad isn't crazy, and like, maybe he isn't a killer, and what happened, I don't really understand, and none of it really ever makes sense. Like, it doesn't piece these pieces together, and it's not that we shouldn't have a mystery. I'm fine with mystery, but the way that these things and these events happen, they felt like individual events that didn't connect to one another. And then by the end of the movie, when you finally get to the goods, it takes about 55 minutes for the movie to get to the level of where it's like, okay, now we're going to see some goods. It jams two kills into one scene, not together, but separately, which is, kind of cool. But in the same regard, it's kind of losing some of the nuggets throughout the film. I feel like they could have split these two kills up separately and kind of had them work in different ways in the story, and kind of made this a little bit more interesting for the viewer from one end to the other. But it just kind of feels like the movie is trying to be more clever than it actually is. It's like trying to present itself and peacock itself as this really clever movie, and then by the end of the movie, you're just kind of like, wait, what? It doesn't really necessarily make sense. And I don't need to know everything. Like, I promise you guys, sometimes I am an advocate for somebody who likes mystery, doesn't need to have all the answers for it. But this movie throws so much at you, it makes no sense when it holds its cards. Like, if you're going to show me all of your cards in the beginning of the movie and then throw these like weird, mysterious treats that don't connect to one another, it just doesn't make sense. It's like they took this Franken movie and put it together with all these different ideas that just don't congeal into one believable movie. And yes, I understand this is fiction, but that's not what I'm talking about here. You still have to make it believable or sort of working within the sphere of some of the more regular moments to make it even more understanding of the characters and everything. And by the end, I was just like thankful that it was kind of over in a way, because, you know, it does get a little interesting at the third act, but man, is that first and second act really long. And I would assume that most people are probably going to tap out before they even get halfway through the movie. And, you know, it's like one of those sort of curse films. So it has like these like things that are going on in the film, that this puppet man is controlling other people and you don't know whether it's her or it's this puppet man, or, you know, and I'm not spoiling anything. They really just lay it all out to you in the very beginning. There's no mystery, but then it decides to kind of like hold its cards and not show you everything in some weird way. But it feels like one of those movies that just kind of blah on the screen. So I hope I'm making sense of a sort of nonsensical movie, because there are things in this movie that I did enjoy. Like, some of the kills were pretty cool. The director of this movie, if you've never heard of them, is Brandon Christensen, who did the movies Z and Superhose. Z was the one about the kid who has a sort of imaginary friend that comes to life and starts causing problems with his mother and their son. And then the Superhost is the one about the girl who's running this Airbnb and she's become really good at it. So it's this super nice one. They call them Superhosts when they do that. And she ends up, there's like some things you find out that there's a killer on the loose killing somebody. And it was okay. I thought it was pretty decent for an indie film. But this one really just, it's all over the place and it just did not work for me. There are people online in Shudder saying that it's a 5 out of 5. And I'm glad that they enjoyed it, but I just could not get into this movie. Not for the characters, not for the kills. The kills are kind of cool, but even they kind of feel like the visual effects that they did, because it's CGI, a lot of CGI. And I've seen movies that can do the CGI and make it look decent enough to get by, you know? Like, I get it. Like, some things you just can't do without CGI. But you know, you should try to mix the two as best you can. This one felt like it was just painted on the screen. A lot of people were saying, you know, like they like the kills and stuff. And yeah, I kind of did, but it just, I don't know. I felt so taken out of this movie. It just really didn't have that much of an impact. And like, that's a real bummer. Like, that's a real problem in a movie when the kills don't even carry you through, you know? And when you cram 2 kills that are happening simultaneously together, I felt like it really kind of ruined that. I liked the way that the kills were, but they were so over the top that I don't know. It just didn't really make me care or believe, so they had no impact when they happened. Apparently, the writers of this movie, this is their first feature film that they've ever done. One is Ryan Christensen, which he has no prior credits in film whatsoever, and Matt Manjarides, who is actually a producer for a lot of different films, and he actually, this is his first feature credit. You know, he's done some writing on one other thing, but this is his first feature film. They got the idea from, Matt Manjarides got it from a Tom Jones song and thought it'd be a cool idea to turn into a movie, which somewhere in this movie is a really good story, but it feels like a movie that you need to know to really understand or get behind and find it interesting. And it's like by the end of the movie, when they do this real trickery thing to make you blow your mind, you don't really fully understand it or what has actually happened or what the creature is or anything. So it has really no impact whatsoever. I honestly don't think I could recommend this movie. I mean, if you have the service, maybe you'll like it, but I honestly am about a 4.5 out of 10. I really just was not a fan of this. I was hoping and rooting for it, but man, it was a slog kind of a watch. The pacing was terrible. The suspense wasn't as good. The kills were okay, and that kind of pushes it in the right direction, but the characters just really did not carry this film. I didn't care for anybody. One inauthentic moment after another. And yeah, I can get behind just like fun movies that just kill people and just have fun like that, but it just this is not that movie. The main star of the movie, I'm sure, has done other work that's better than this, but in this role, it just felt like I really wouldn't care about this character, and I really just did not understand her strife, you know? Like, it didn't really make sense. I didn't really feel bad for her and the situation she was in, because the movie never showed us that side of it. And it feels like a very important piece. Even though it shows you, it just didn't make me a believer. So, I don't know. Maybe I just got it wrong. Maybe I just need to watch it again. But I couldn't see it going up much more. I hate to be mean to a movie, but it's just not for me, guys. Maybe it'll be for you. I would love to hear what you think about this movie. 4.5 out of 10 is really not that great. I've seen better Shudder films, and this year's been kind of a mixed bag for a lot of different things. I think sometimes people get a little too critical on Shudder, but this one is just definitely, I think, fair to criticize a little bit more than the others. And I do like Z. I actually own it, and I didn't mind Superhost. They weren't the best favorite movies of the year, but they were decent ideas. Actually did a little bit more than this one. So, but yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. I've got more on the way for Voidtober. Boy, do we. We got some physical releases that are coming out. I got Tombs of the Blind Dead, Caddy Hack, which is a mutated gophers that are attacking people in a golf tournament of some sort. So I'm really looking forward to that one as well, and the Tombs of the Blind Dead. So be on the lookout for those and many, many more. We got some new movies that are coming out, found footage, everything. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thanks for coming by, and as always, long live the Void.